In this video, I'm going to take you through how to create flights for a single platform 2-session meet in Liftingcast. So you want to bring up Liftingcast, log into your meet. If you go to the roster page, you can see how many lifters you have. I cap the maximum number of lifters in my meet to 56, as this allows me to create 4 14 lifter flights. If you were not aware, 14 lifters is the largest flight size allowed by USA powerlifting rules. So let's get started. Actually, one thing that I should note, to follow the instructions that I'm using here, you will need to use spreadsheet software like Microsoft Excel. If you do not have Microsoft Excel, I recommend downloading the open source LibreOffice software package, which will have a free application that will function basically the same as Excel. Alright, so let's get started. The very first thing we want to do is to download a spreadsheet of our current lifters. So we click on the hamburger icon in Liftingcast, go to lifters, and then we click the export lifters button. Just save the CSV to your desktop. Then, because we know it's a one platform meet, we can go ahead and just pick platform 1 on all of the lifters. Unfortunately, there's not an automated way to do this in Liftingcast. It would be really neat if there was, but we just have to manually come through and select platform 1 for all of our lifters. Alright, let's minimize Chrome and open up our spreadsheet. The very first thing you want to do is click Sort and Filter, and then Filter. And I will first filter out by gender and see how many ladies that I have in the meet. If I select the entire row of female, down here in the bottom you can see the count is 18. That tells me that I've got 18 ladies, which means that I can't fit them all in just one flight. So the next thing that we want to do is see if we can find another 10 lifters to round out our morning session. 2 maximum size flights of 14 will, for an A and B flight in the morning will be 28. So go ahead and add our guys back in and our blanks. If you forget to add the blanks, you'll miss people that have multiple divisions that they entered. So actually, let's filter out the ladies because we know we've got 18 of them. And then if it's not already sorted by weight, you can click the drop down for declare towards weight class and sort smallest to largest. And then we just want to select weights until we get 10. Now you can see if we pick all of the weight classes, that gives us 11, which unfortunately is 1 too many. Let's expand out this division. probably want to filter out the women's divisions here too, just to not cause any confusion. All right, and that leaves us with, now we're at 9. So at this point, we just want to find a lifter of a higher weight class that is only in one division and that also is not competing against anyone. We don't want to end up with someone in the same age and weight class in the morning session and the afternoon session, because that would give the afternoon session lifter an advantage over the morning session lifter, because they would know exactly the total they needed to hit to win the weight class, basically. So the other thing that we want to try to accomplish is keep being lifters of relatively the same strength together, because that makes the job a little bit easier for the spotters and loaders. You want to avoid having someone lifting over 225 kilos, for example, in the same flight as someone lifting 75 kilos, because then your spotters and loaders have to take off 3 red plates at the beginning of the next set of attempts and so forth, and it makes things go slower, and it's harder on them. So after filtering out all the women's divisions and the women, we just again select a range of weights that are all together. We can see now that we've got 9, and we just need someone extra. So this Masters 4 lifter right here would be a good candidate to lift with the smaller, lighter lifters. So now we start assigning our sessions so that we can start to have the picture come together. So we know we're going to have all the ladies, all the guys 75 kilos and under, and our 182.5 kilo Masters 4 lifter. So we're going to end up exporting this CSV several times, so we can just go ahead and close it. Don't worry about saving it. We didn't really make any actual changes. Go back into Liftingcast, scroll back to the top. If you were not aware, these arrow icons in all of the different columns allows you to sort by the values in that column. So if we click the gender sort, it'll give us all of our ladies. First thing we want to do is put them all in session 1. All right, now unfortunately the declared awards weight class is not sortable. It'd be really super awesome if it was. I don't know if there's a programmatic reason that it isn't, but anyway, we'll just go ahead and look down through our guys here and just tag everybody that's 75 kilos and under. All right, so we've got one here. Add them to session 1. Here's our Masters lifter that we identified, so we'll add him to session 1. Then we just got to scroll down. Just keep an eye on our weight class column and just manually select everybody. Okay, I think that's everybody. One way to be certain is to go back to the hamburger menu, and I call this a hamburger because it looks like 2 buns with a piece of meat between it. Click there. If you go to roster, now you'll see we've got 29 unassigned and 27 assigned to session 1. So we want 28. We must have missed one somewhere. So unfortunately, that happens sometimes. We'll just pop back over to lifters, sort by gender, just double check that we got all of the ladies. Yep, that looks okay. So let's just double check the weight classes again. 75, 75. Okay, maybe I made a mistake when we were looking at the spreadsheet earlier. So rather than just staring at this and trying to randomly find what we're missing, the easiest thing to do is just export it again. If you don't actually click the file up here, it'll make a separate copy. That will quickly make a mess, so we want to avoid that. Come up here, click the file so that the name is the same as the old one we were using, hit save, and then it's going to tell you, hey, are you sure you want to overwrite this? We just tell it yes. Open it back up. Turn our filtering back on again. And then what we can do easily here is just go ahead and filter out everyone that was assigned to session 1. And then all of these blanks that we're seeing here are people that just had multiple divisions. They entered open in masters or open in junior or something to that effect. But it looks like I may have miscalculated because I don't see another lighter weight lifter that we may have missed. So again, we're just going to find someone else that is lifting unopposed that just makes sense to move them to the morning session. So I would say that this bench-only gentleman is probably a good candidate, so we will identify him. So Kenneth is his name. We can go back into Liftingcast, sort by name. Find Kenneth, assign him to session 1. And then when we go look at our roster again, now you'll see we've got 28 unassigned, 28 assigned. So we've basically broken the meet in half. At this point, we'll go back to lifters and we can sort on session. And if we sort to the blank session, now we can just take all of these, assign them to session 2. All right, now we've got everybody assigned to a session. We can pop back over to our roster, double check. Yes, 28 people in the morning session, 28 people in the afternoon session. So we're halfway there. Now we need to take each session and break it up into 2 equally sized flights. So again, at this point, you may want to re-export the file again, just so that we have all of our sessions identified in the file. Filter again, and then this time we will filter out session 2, and that will allow us to just see our morning session lifters, and we can put them in their flights. We want to, yeah, if you're not aware, these lines here in between the columns in Excel, if you just double click on them, it will automatically widen them to the size of the widest text in the field. So again, I will start and try to probably put the lighter weight class lifters together. Yeah, and again, we've got some straggling extra divisions that do have a tendency to complicate things. We will work our way through that. And the picture should become clear shortly. So what we're going to want to start to do, I think, again, we want to select and kind of walk down until we see that we've got the right number of lifters, but then you'll want to go back and count the blanks. So we can subtract 1 for this blank, subtract 1 for that blank, subtract 1 for that blank. So that takes us down 3 to 12. So we need 2 more lifters. It looks like we've got 2 75 kilo ladies that we can group in with the rest of the smaller lifters. So we'll pop back over to Liftingcast, sort by session, and we're taking everyone 67.5 kilos or lighter and the 75 kilo ladies, and we will put them all in flight A. So we'll come over here. You just, again, got to keep an eye on the weight classes and then just assign flights. No, not that one. Also, in case you're wondering why I put all of the ladies in the morning session, that is not a requirement. You can choose to have ladies in the morning and the afternoon if you wish. The small complication that adds is if you have ladies in the morning and the afternoon, then you need 2 weigh-in referees for both sessions, because you will need a female and male referee to weigh in the ladies and the guys in the morning, and a female and male referee to handle weigh-ins in the afternoon. If you put all of the ladies in the morning, then in the afternoon you'll only need a male referee to do weigh-ins. Again, entirely your choice, but it usually comes down to just the staffing consideration. All right, I think I've got everybody selected at this point, so if we go back to our roster page, it'll let us know if we were accurate. So yes, looks good. You can see we've got 14 lifters in Flight A and 14 lifters unassigned in our morning session. That's a nice, easy fix. We go back to our lifters page, sort on session, sort then on flight, and then we just have to scroll down, keeping an eye on our session column, and then wherever we see a session 1 that doesn't have a flight, we just drop a B. right. We'll close out our spreadsheet without saving. Export again. Overwrite. Open the file back up. Now, at this point, like I've mentioned a couple of times already, these extra divisions complicate things. Once you start to have some of this information in, what I like to do is just highlight this information, and then if you grab this little tiny square in the corner, it will duplicate that information. So this helps when you're wanting to filter things out. Whoops. If you move it, you can always just use the Control Z function on your keyboard to undo, or you can also do, there's an edit menu on here somewhere. I just like the keyboard better. Oh, yep, there it is. You can use, no, that's quick access. Anyway, this is not an Excel tutorial, so back to where we were. So we just want to find all of the columns where we've got additional divisions and just populate our information. And unfortunately, we'll end up doing this a couple of times just because this information is not saved when we export again and overwrite the file. All right, there we have it. So now we can filter. If we filter out all of session 2, so we're only looking at the morning session, then we can also sort by flight. We can highlight our A's. You can see that it counts up to 17, 16, 15, 14 with blanks, so that looks good. And then 14, no multiple divisions in our flight B. All right, so the morning session is completely done. At this point, we can change our filter from session 1 to session 2. And then again, we want to do the same thing with the guys in the afternoon. Highlight our weight class. And you can see if we pick all the 82s and the 90s, that gives us 13, 12, 11 when we take out the extra divisions. So then we need to find 2 more guys to add to Flight C. This Masters lifter who is lifting unopposed, because he is the only Masters 100, we could add him also. And then so you can see that there's a junior 100 here, but the complication that we run into with him is that there is a junior 100 that is also entered into the open. So we want to make sure that this gentleman stays in the same flight with the rest of the open 100s, which is going to require us to keep this junior 100 in the same flight. We do have a couple of options. We've got a T3 100 that we could potentially use. And we've got a Masters 2 125 and a Masters 1 125. So at this point, you just kind of have to make an educated guess of who's going to be stronger. I think it's a toss-up, so it's not really worth putting a ton of effort into that determination. So I think I'm going to take our T3 100 and our M1 100, and we will add them to the 82s and 90s. So we pop back over to Liftingcast, sort by session. Now we just want to look through all of our session 2 lifters, look for the 82s and 90s, put them in flight C. Liftingcast helpfully moves them up to the top of the screen as we select them. Here's a 90. Keep an eye out for our M1 100. Here's our T3 100. And again, once you think you got them all, go back to the roster page. All right, we've got 13 in Flight C, but 15 unassigned. So there's one we're missing. Pop back over to the lifters page. We can sort by flight this time because all of the guys that are unassigned are all together. So we just quickly want to look through this list again. And I may have miscalculated again when we were looking at our spreadsheet. But again, it's an easy fix. We just need one more lifter. As we had discussed before, we've got this bench-only lifter. I'm sorry, not bench-only. We've got this M2 push-pull and M2 full power lifter that is probably a good candidate. Yeah, we wouldn't want to take this Masters 1 guy because he's in the open. I also would not choose this bench-only super heavyweight guy, especially because I know this lifter will be benching into the 500s. So if we put him with the 82s and 90s, it may make extra work for the spotters and loaders. So our Masters 2 lifter seems like the ideal candidate, so we will drop him in Flight C. Pop back over to our roster page. We got a perfect split, 14 and 14. Back to the lifters page for hopefully our last edit. Sort by flight, scroll down to all the blanks and put them in Flight D. And we should be good at this point. Back to the roster page, 14, 14, 14, 14 looks perfect. So again, you want to be very careful that the people that you're using to fill up your extra slots you have in your flights, you want to pick people that are in only one division and that you know that division does not have more than one person in it. Obviously, if you have 2 spots available in a flight, you may pick 2 people that are in a division by themselves. It's just important to keep the lifters that are actively competing against each other in the same flight, just to make the competition as fair as possible. So hopefully you find this helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below.